Here I am once again in Springfield, Missouri. This is a story that I previously did on my channel about 3 or 4 years ago. This has been a cold case that has plagued the police department here in Springfield, Missouri. We're gonna show you the location really quick of where the 3 women went missing over 30 years ago, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of a very interesting conversation that I had with somebody who knows exactly what happened. They told me about it. Let's begin. Before we begin the video, just giving you guys a heads up, this is not a deep dive analysis of this case. There are several videos on YouTube that you can watch if you choose to do so, where they give a lot more details about this matter. Like I've said previously in the video, I've already done this video before. We're just going to get straight into the facts. June 7th, 1992, graduation day. High school's finally over for thousands of kids here in Springfield, Missouri. And for 2 kids who attended Kickapoo High School, Stacy McCall, 18, and her friend Susie Streeter, 19. Ooh, finally, school is done. Now, of course, there's going to be several parties going on in and around the area here, and I'm not sure which party Susie or Stacy was planning on attending or invited to, but they end up going to a party. Now, here's the girls' plan. They're going to go to a party, and from the party, they're going to drive 45 miles down to Branson. They're going to get a hotel with some friends, and then they're going to go to the amusement park the following day. So they attend the party, and maybe they stayed either a little too long or they were just too tired. But it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning now, and they're not really wanting to make the 45-mile drive through the dark out to Branson. So they just say, the heck with it, we'll just go in the morning. So Stacy and Susie, they ended up going back to Susie's house where she lived with her mother, 47-year-old Cheryl Levitt. She worked in town as a cosmetologist, and she was quite proud of the home that she had purchased not too long ago. She purchased it in a nice neighborhood, and she got a good deal in it, I imagine. So the girls head back to Susie's, and Stacy's mom had called just to check in on her daughter, and there's no response. She did leave a voice message, but nobody called back. So she's getting worried about her daughter. So several people, I'm not exactly sure who, they come to the house to check to see where everybody is. And when they get to the home, they find some broken glass out on the porch right there. And when they open the door, I guess they had like this little dog, and the dog is going absolutely bonkers. So there's no sign of the girls anywhere. And immediately they call the police. So the police come over here, and they start looking around, and, well, it doesn't look like anything really happened. It doesn't really look like, a robbery or anything like that. All their purses are there, all their personal effects. There's nothing missing from the home. So maybe they went out to breakfast. Maybe they got caught up in a party. Who knows? So after the police leave, some of the people that were here, seeing that, the broken glass, whatever, they start tidying up the house, right? That's really where the story ends. You had 3 girls, 3 women, who went missing from this very home right here on Delmar. And you got what going on well over 30 years later, and nobody knows where they're at. It's almost like they disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, when you have stories like this about true crime, and you have a unusual case of 3 people who just disappeared, that's it. You're gonna have a lot of rumors, a lot of people saying this and that, sending investigators on these wild goose chases. But there's more to the story, of course, than what we all know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to visit another location and talk quickly a little bit more about this very disturbing case. There has been a lot of rumors about this case that have been permeating through the internet and social media for at least the last 25 years of this matter. Anywhere from who's responsible for the disappearance of who's commonly referred to now as the Springfield 3, and what happened to them and where are they? To your left is the Holston Cancer Center. To your right, that is the Wheeler Heart Clinic. And one of the rumors that I find incredibly fascinating is this very parking garage right in front of you. Now, this parking garage, the construction of it began in September of 1993. Now, there's been rumors going on about the possibility of the Springfield 3 having been buried at this very location where I'm going to show you right now. So the rumors were so strong, if you will, the sources who were claiming that these 3 women were buried here under this parking garage. In 2007, an investigative news reporter by the name of Kathy Baird and a man by the name of Rick Norland came to this very garage. And Rick Norland, he was the co-owner of a construction company, and he had a device with him, which was some kind of a ground penetrating radar machine. It would, I'm sure, be normally used to possibly find gas lines or things that are buried underground. So they met at this very garage, and he ran his machine.
Well, there's a discontinuity in the subsoil, subbase. It changes once you go inside that perimeter, which indicates it's been disturbed differently than the rest of it. And then inside that perimeter, there are some weak and strong reflections, which are very close to the same dielectric constants. In other words, it's different, but it's set in there long enough that the salts and stuff from the soils are starting to migrate into whatever it is, and it's creating it some strong and weak reflectors.
So in other words, what you're saying is that the soil is starting to absorb whatever is there.
Whatever they're starting to absorb the chemicals of the soil.
Okay.
This is all different right in here. It starts at 2 foot, actually 1.93 feet to 2 feet from the top of this surface. And it goes down to the top of where this anomaly is showing up. And then through the bottom of the anomaly, we're back into the soil conditions again at 3 feet. So there's a layer of approximately 12 inches.
Okay. Rick, I have a couple of questions for you. Have you and I ever met before today?
No.
Okay. And I contacted you independently myself to come and scan this spot that obviously somebody else had scanned for me previously.
Yes.
Are you coming up with almost the same markings that the first person did?
Similar. I don't pick up the furthest one out where he starts. I pick it up a foot or so this back towards us. But the rest of the area, his marks are inside my marks.
And can you tell the camera your name and spell your first and last name?
Rick Norland, R-I-C-K-N-O-R-L-A-N-D.
And your business?
I'm the president and co-owner of Construction Solutions.
Do you have a problem? I'm going to turn this over to the police like we talked about. And you have no problem with the police department contacting you about the findings that you have, or the Greene County Prosecutor's Office? And you say you do grave markers. What is your data telling you, indicating that it may be?
It's very similar to what we see when we're over old graves. The other anomaly that can show up sometimes similar to that's tree roots, but I don't see any trees anywhere close.
And you're not
to
picking
set
it up
them out.
anywhere
I'm not
else?
picking it up anywhere else but inside this perimeter area. Once I step outside the perimeter area, I see the slab, the Mary came up with a slab, the subsoil, the gravel, but in this area it's different.
Are you able to tell if it's just, you said you're able to do grave markings, so you obviously know what bones look like or what they may look like?
Actually, when we're looking, especially older graves, what we see, over time, the bones will absorb the local salts from the soils. And as they do, they begin to take on the same characteristics of the soil. And radar has a hard time picking a difference between the surrounding soil and whatever it may be thinking is down it. But when we do old graves, the other thing we really rely on heavily is we see a discontinuity in the local soil.
This is the very location where those two individuals were standing at the time. Now, of course, it's fenced in, so I'm not able to stand over the exact part where they were at when they were talking about the anomalies that Rick found in the machine. Like he said in the video, it's consistent with what you would find if you were looking for unmarked graves. And if you see on the ground right here, you'll see this red mark. Let me try to get a little bit closer to it. If you see that red mark, it looks like a scratch, right? Well, that scratch was made as a key, if you will. Now, this key would basically show anybody who would be hired to core out this area. That is where they would start. They would start coring out this area right here, and the machine indicated that there was an anomaly right past this very fence. Now, back then, the cost of coring this place out and seeing what was underneath was estimated to be around $2,500 or so. Now, of course, in today's money, that's going to be quite a bit higher, but that's all it would have taken for the Springfield Police Department to come to this location and, for once and for all, see whether these three ladies are buried here or not. Okay, so now the final question remains. Why isn't anybody doing anything about this? Why isn't law enforcement here just to put the rumors to rest? Why are they not here, at least bare minimum, bringing in another person with the same equipment to once and for all prove without a shadow of a doubt whether these three individuals are buried here or not? Now, the answer is a little bit murky, and it's an answer that some people that are in the know on this story know the answer to, and the answer can be quite dangerous. So I talked to a person who I will not name, who I would say is a very, very credible source on this matter. And I promised that I would not give up this person's identity, and I'm really not at liberty to say exactly what they told me. All I will say is this. According to them, the three ladies are buried right behind that fence, underneath that concrete. Now, who was able to supposedly murder three women and buried them under a parking garage. Well, it could have been somebody that works in construction, and maybe they work with concrete. I don't know. You tell me. The person that supposedly committed this crime is no longer alive. Another person who knew about the crime wasn't in on the crime, but they knew about the crime. They had a very close connection to the reported killer. They're also not alive. I'll summarize this story with this. I feel that the Springfield Police Department, they know exactly who committed this crime, and it will never be solved. Don't want to get into too much of the politics of why it won't be solved, because I'm not at liberty to really say. But from what I heard, it involves actual former officials that worked for the Springfield Police Department. That's all I will say about that matter. Who knows? But I got a final question, and it's one that I have absolutely no answer to, and that is why? Why were they killed? Why were they murdered? What was the point? Now, I read plenty about these kinds of stories. I have to, it's my job. And most murders that I read are either committed either over money, over drugs, or basically over sex. You're sleeping with another man's wife, or you're sleeping with another woman's husband, so forth and so on. Now, I'm not saying it was over any of the above that I just mentioned, but what I am saying is, if it wasn't for that, well, what else is there? So I suspect we'll never know. I find it funny how they just kind of fenced that place off now. Now so it looks like a storage place where they put cleaning equipment and stuff like that. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Are they really buried under this parking garage? Who the hell knows? And that's why I always like going to the scene of the crime. It's one thing to talk about it wherever you might live or be. It's a different experience to actually go there and see it for your own self. If I wouldn't have came here, I would have never have seen that red mark that they made in case in the future they decide to start digging. Live, but not live, still alive by the grace of God. Lamont at large, always at the scene of the crime. You know how I roll. I'll catch up with you on the next video. Peace out.